Hello and welcome everyone to another StarCraft 2 England cast. Today I have got a game between LiquidJinro and coLNaDa. This is a TvT, so buckle down in your seats. It's going to be a long one. If you haven't got a drink, pause, go and grab yourself a cup of tea if I do suggest a beverage myself, and settle in for what is going to be a damn awesome game. So we have got Jinro as the red Terran in the bottom left, and we have got Nada as the blue Terran in the top left, and this should be awesome. It is from the Razer Replay pack of the week released by Team Liquid Pro. It is awesome, it is brilliant. Go and watch it, download it, go back every single week to find out what awesome player they've got from their team, uploading a whole pack of replays for your pleasure and enjoyment. And if you don't want to watch it without my voice, obviously just tune into my channel. I cast them every week because they're damn brilliant. So, what is going to be happening this match? Who knows? I don't know what's going to happen. It's probably going to be awesome though. I know it's going to be awesome. It's got Jinro in it. It's got Nada in it. It's going to be fantastic. So, hopefully it will go pretty well. I'm actually casting this just because I've gone into a casting mood. I've got to be up really, really early tomorrow. I have got to be up in, well, 8 hours from now. I have to, no, 7.5 hours from now I have to be awake. And instead of going to bed like a responsible human being would, I thought, no, I'm going to cast another game because this is awesome. StarCraft 2 is brilliant, so I hope you do enjoy it. If I miss something, it's because of my sleep deprivation from just enjoying StarCraft too much. So I do apologise. We've got one gas coming down for Nada now, no gas for Jinro, so already a slight difference in their builds, both getting a barracks though, which is always good because you need a barracks to get literally anything else. So obviously always a good move to make. The SCVs didn't bump heads, that's always a shame. They like to high-five each other. They're not violent creatures, SCVs, or not creatures, they're not violent at all, SCVs. They just like to look at each other and look at things and mine. They're sort of like the workers. They are the workers, not sort of like it. There's no sort of about it, they are workers. So, the SCVs just are going to scout around, and Jinro's is less active, and we've got a rogue, violent SCV here. Just going to scare away Jinro's. He's just like, no, call the police, I'm running away. There's no police in StarCraft 2. There's just Marines, they shoot you, they ask questions. They don't even ask questions, they just shoot you. They're criminals in giant exoskeleton suits, designed for one thing and one thing alone. Anyway, going back to the game, got a bit sidetracked there. A command center on the way for Jinro. So Jinro's going to be playing this one Rax expand build. He's getting both gases though out now, and really that's just for teching. He's going to tech a lot. The tech lab is out for Nada though, and he's got a Reaper. Everyone loves a good little Reaper. The command center going down for Nada as well. A bit later. I mean, it's half built already for Jinro, but I mean, Jinro's got to float his down as well. It's slightly safer though. And I mean, he can morph into an orbital command there. He can use the mules if he gets any danger. He's obviously got his wall off. He's safe. And he has got this double gas, but obviously the Reaper, wherever the Reaper may be, I believe it was actually picked off. Did that die? Yeah, must have died. So the first Reaper died. That was pretty bad times for the Reaper, and it means that Nada didn't get the scouting information about the double gas, and we have got factory coming down now as well. So meanwhile, if we take a look at Nada's base, just going for 2 more barracks straight away, and combat shield is on the cards, so we'll be probably seeing a lot of marine play early on from Nada. Just still got that 1 gas mining from it. His expansion is about 3/4 done. Meanwhile, I mean, Jinro's orbital command is just finished, and a reactor on the way for this barracks. These Reapers are going to be able to kind of poke up and prod. We'll see the Marines, they will run away. Meanwhile, I almost guarantee a switch will occur here, and or maybe not. A starport coming down. So again, this is kind of an interesting build from Jinro. It'll be good to see how he does follow up. Hasn't actually lifted this command, orbital command yet, so obviously Nada does have his in play already, and that means he can start mining from his natural base, which most importantly really means that he's going to have a bit more income. And here we go, here goes the switch. So we're going to see Hellions, and this barracks moving over, going to get a reactor, so we'll probably see the starport switch over to that as well. Probably to get medevacs out, I would imagine. And you can actually get a nice kind of Hellion drop going on, and that could be quite awesome. So meanwhile, we will see 2 reactors coming out for Nada here on the barracks. So what we're going to do, we're going to get Marines, because do you know what's awesome? Marines are awesome. So Nada just going to build Marines because it's kind of a go-to unit to build. They're pretty decent against everything. So build Marines. Meanwhile, I mean, NADA I think is ahead quite a bit in kind of the income and has been for a while. Worker count is actually very, very equal. So the only reason that NADA was ahead in income there is because Jinro hadn't actually floated down his orbital command to his natural base. Meanwhile, Hellions are on the way. We've seen that this starport actually moved over to a tech lab, quite surprisingly, and getting a Raven out. So that's a bit more of an unusual build. I like that. I think that's awesome. I do apologise if my Skype thing just came up there. Should have logged that off. I was actually waiting for someone who was interested in doing some co-casting to come online, so hopefully they will do soon after this cast, and then so you can sort out some awesome co-casting. That's all top secret at the moment. You didn't hear it from me. Meanwhile, just taking a look down here at up here at NADA's base, he's getting some upgrades out, +1, stims finishing up as well, combat shields obviously done. Meanwhile, for Jinro, he's just getting a tech lab out. He's got that one Raven, and just mobile detection, quite a cool unit. And I mean, this factory getting a tech lab on it, so siege mode is on the way. And these Hellions have just really given Jinro absolutely amazing map control. Having said that though, NADA taking this nice little back path here will go completely undetected by Jinro. Jinro's barracks I don't even think were scouted, because the scouting barracks work so well. No, we will see NADA's just going to be able to sneak all of these units in. There is a bunker here, and obviously a Raven, but I mean, there's just a lot of stuff. A scan does go off, and there we go. NADA just going for it. That bunker just disintegrates. All of the Marines in there are going to get taken down. The supply depot is going to fall. Here comes the Hellions though, but they've got to be careful, because obviously good spread means that NADA will be able to deal with this, and Jinro's actually had to lift that base, and I mean, NADA's just going to go for this. He's going to go straight for the wall, will be forced backwards though. There are two tanks there which are moving out, but I mean, this has done big damage. NADA's just delayed that natural base, forcing the lift as well, and you will see that Marauder is going to slowly whittle its way down, killing off another Hellion. Won't get another one though, has to run away from those tanks, and there is still a Marine just picking stuff off, and that was a big push. Jinro came off worse there by 175 resources, but more importantly delayed mining time, and that's always bad. Meanwhile, behind this, NADA just started his third base. NADA's like, you know what, I'm going to take 3 bases, because 3 bases is better than 2, and you just had to lift your natural as well. Meanwhile though, we will just see that NADA's just really taken this middle, taken the map control, and really forced Jinro back. Jinro's in a very defensive position here. Got to rebuild this wall off if he wants to have that. Upgrade wise, I mean, NADA's getting concussive shells, getting +1 armor, has already got +1 attack. Meanwhile, Jinro, he has got some Vikings out. He's got no upgrades for anything, I don't think. He hasn't got an engineering bay. He's got no armory either, so no upgrades. So NADA's getting that upgrade advantage very quickly. He's also just got more stuff at the moment. I mean, as for killed, NADA's killed 6 workers as well. If we take a look, it's 52 to 44 SCVs, so a slight advantage for NADA at the moment. Not huge, but it will make its difference over time. And these Hellions moving forward, obviously concussive shell is now done. Blue flame is also done though for those Hellions, so those Marines are going to be toasted, and toasted Marines don't taste good. Marshmallows, yes. Marines, no. The third command center on its way now for Jinro, but the third command center already finished for NADA, and just going over, but there's that awkward Hellion there, just sitting there like, no, you're not going to land, I'm here. So that Hellion is going to basically deny that for a while, and it's actually quite a long rush distance, nothing in the medevacs, so it's going to be a bit of a pain to walk over there, just delays it slightly. Meanwhile, obviously, Jinro is still in a very defensive position, is getting his armory out now, +1 on the way, +1 defense armor rather on the way for NADA. He's getting that orbital command morphed in. Meanwhile, these rocks are going to be taken down. He's got siege mode on the way, 2 more tech labs coming out on these barracks, and I mean a factory. Pretty much everything is coming out now. There are these Hellions over here which NADA is actually going to scout out accidentally somewhat while he's just poking around checking for expansions. Meanwhile, Jinro is stuck on these 2 bases. Meanwhile, the third base is well and truly up for NADA. He's just got really waiting to kind of transfer SCVs, but obviously having that third mining base is a good advantage for NADA there. He's just moving his units around, trying to find all these Hellions to pick them off, because obviously they're giving Jinro map control and also knowledge about what's going on. And NADA getting +2, Jinro getting +1 for vehicles, attack, +2 infantry armor also coming out for NADA as well now, so a real heavy upgrade advantage is going to be coming along for NaDa, and Jinro really needs to react to that. Meanwhile, that Hellion is just being a pain, so it dies. Because, I mean, if I was NaDa, I wouldn't want that Hellion poking around. The 5th and 6th gas coming down for NaDa, so NaDa is really in a good position here. 3rd base only just going down now for Jinro. If you take a look, it's now 64 to 54 SCV, so a 10 SCV advantage to NaDa here. He's in a good spot. His supply lead is slowly growing. He's got good kind of production facilities all sorted out. Meanwhile, Jinro, I mean, he's still just producing off 3 factories. The 4th one is on the way, getting a reactor, so going to be quite Hellion heavy here. And that could be really, really effective because NaDa is going for a very kind of marine heavy army. Is getting siege tanks in though now, so this could be interesting. And NaDa just take his 4th base down as well now, so I mean, just staying a base ahead of Jinro at all times means that that extra economy, that extra income, means he can really ramp up production. And even taking down these rocks as well now. And a sensor tower is now out for Jinro, and I quite like the use of a sensor tower because it means that nothing can come down this back passage here, which could cause a damage to the natural base. Which means no drops are going to catch him by surprise. The 4th base on its way now for Jinro, but in the 4th base already down for NaDa. And NaDa just getting a really dominant position in the middle of the map. I love the position of these tanks. Behind the rocks, they're really, really safe. And also still doing a lot of coverage. I mean, they're covering all of this area around here. So NaDa can really use his infantry to be covered by those tanks. He's obviously 4th base mining well. He's got amazing production coming out. He's got 2-2 finishing up, +1 vehicle weapons. Meanwhile, Jinro, he's got +1 vehicle weapons. No sign of +2 on the way yet. But he is moving out. Got quite a lot of missile charges coming in as well. And just, this is good tank spread. So 2 tanks up on the high ground, I really like. It just means that they are going to be very hard for NaDa to pick off. But NaDa just starting his 5th base now. So even though Jinro's just finished his 4th, it's not in position, and already NaDa's starting his 5th. So NaDa is maxed out now. He's just getting so ahead economically. Income-wise, just look at the difference. It's quite noticeable, and that's all because of just the extra SCVs and the extra base already mining. And really, NaDa's in a good dominating position here. I like where he is. He's getting 3-3 upgrades for his infantry as well, getting some Vikings out, getting another tech lab somewhere exactly where I don't know. It was on that starport, so it'll be interesting to see what he gets out there. He's got 2 starports now with tech labs. And here we go. This will be seen by the sensor tower, and there are a lot of Vikings, there are a lot of tanks, and a lot of Hellions. So NaDa wisely just deciding not to go for it, and that 4th base is pretty safe for Jinro. But I mean, I'm just looking over here and thinking this isn't too well defended. If NaDa was to push, obviously this very mech heavy army of Jinro is very immobile. The 5th base is pretty much down. A medevac drop is coming in though for Jinro, but I mean, it's not going to be able to do too much. There's just 3 Hellions there. Could pick off any SCVs, but there isn't actually any there to die. And that Marauder should be able to do a lot of damage, but absolutely fantastic micro. This is top-notch micro going on by Jinro here, and just really showing just how effective it can be. But that Marauder is going to manage to stay alive just, and the reason NaDa's moved his Marauder so close is because what Jinro is doing is he's lifting up that Hellion before the projectile from the Marauder hits, preventing it doing damage. And here we go, NaDa's actually just going to go in here, hiding the UI. This is a big engagement going on, and it's attacking into a tank line, which is never something you really want to do, and NaDa's taking huge losses, and there's just so many Vikings out for Jinro. All the medevacs are going down, and that makes the infantry a lot less effective. And here comes all the tank support for Jinro as well. Not even all of his tanks were there, and Jinro has cleared this up very, very nicely. If we take a look at the loss tab there, that was a terrible engagement for NaDa, and it really does show in the supply count. He's in a lot of trouble here now. NaDa's got to do a good defense because obviously Jinro, I mean, he's got 16 tanks out on the field, and that's just really going to help him do huge amounts of damage. All he needs is a good position, and NaDa's going to be in big, big trouble. A scan does go off just to see what is going to be coming down. Both players scanning, and to be honest, I don't see how NaDa's going to have a tough time defending this. He's got good position though. He's got kind of a flank available. Can get around, but just look at all these tanks sieging up right outside of Jinro's natural base. And I mean, it's just being besieged. There's nothing he can do. He can't engage this tank line. There's just so many tanks here, so many Hellions. The Vikings are picking off any kind of medevac which does show its face. And I mean, NaDa's response to this is it looks like he's just going for a counter-attack, but there's tanks in the middle here, which will be able to do a lot of damage. And really, I'm going to split my attention here. I mean, this middle is going to take quite a lot of damage. This tank is just besieging there, and NaDa will be able to push through that line. And Jinro doesn't actually need to pull back completely. He's got some tanks here, he's got some more Hellions, and he should be able to deal with that. And I mean, NaDa's got a big problem because his natural base is now not going to be able to do anything. This third base and fourth base even are looking as if they could be in problems, because obviously this tank line can just leapfrog its way over and really put a lot of pressure on both the third and fourth. And if that was to be the case, as it does appear that it's going to be, then NaDa's going to have some serious issues. He is trying to go for it though, and pushing forward, but those tanks doing huge damage. They are only +1 against what is, I believe, 3-3. But still, there's just so many of them. The splash damage doing absolutely colossal damage to NaDa there. And Jinro actually pulling back now. And I mean, unless I've missed something, I don't understand his reasoning for pulling back, because his tank numbers were really high. He had an amazing siege position. Although, having said that, NaDa getting out quite a few Banshees and Ravens as well. Just moving everything over because the drop is coming down for Jinro here. And I mean, I think it did already come down. I think he lost some stuff, but he has been able to do quite a bit of damage. I mean, workers killed. It is still slightly in favour of Jinro, but not by a massive amount. And Jinro's Hellions are just kind of poking and prodding around, but they will get cleaned up quickly. And I mean, it really does seem that NaDa's switching over to airplay, and that's the right thing to do, because obviously Jinro is so... Having said that though, there's so many Vikings out. Wow. Jinro is in such an amazing position, pulling some SCVs, got Thor out as well, getting more Thors on the way, 2 Thors at a time for Jinro, getting a Raven out. And I mean, to be honest, I'm not sure NaDa's going to have a good time. I mean, he had that early economic advantage, but obviously he's lost his natural base now. He does still have his 3rd, 4th and 5th up, although the 5th doesn't have any gas. Jinro still has that medevac there as well. And Jinro just taking down his own 5th base, but obviously hasn't lost one, so this is pretty crazy. It's getting very much a one bad engagement, and it could go either way really. It is getting very, very close, but obviously Jinro is starting to get up a really large amount of both tanks and Vikings. So he's pretty much defending against anything NaDa can throw at him. I mean, NaDa could go extremely air heavy to try and deal with the tanks, because I mean, his infantry was just going to take huge damage. There's a drop going down here as well, but the Marauder is going to clean up the Hellions. And I mean, I'm just keeping most of my attention on this middle ground here, because something big is going to happen. It's just when. And Jinro trying to siege up, leapfrogging those tanks forward, and NaDa wisely just pulling back. He can't engage here. One bad engagement. Great amounts of scans going off for both players just to know exactly where their army positioning is. I love the amount of sensor tower placement by Jinro. It just gives him so much awareness of what is going on. Any threats of drops are completely disintegrated, and that's essential. Jinro, if a drop was to go off on Jinro, he'd be in huge problems because he's got such an immobile army. Both players are maxed out, and really it's just what happens next. Jinro is getting Seeker Missile out now, so his Raven could be very, very effective against any clumped up Vikings, or even the infantry. And another good scan goes off. Jinro now knows exactly what NaDa is trying to do. And I mean, Jinro is just marching forward, picking off some battle cruisers. So this is just a crazy game. And Jinro's got such an amazing position here. But meanwhile, NaDa just moving out. And I mean, this is Viking against Viking, all of them landing, and massive splash damage going off on those Vikings from the Thors, because they are all clumped up. Huge splash damage, massive amounts of damage. Meanwhile, Jinro's got nothing here to defend against this push. NaDa just going for it, and to be honest, this could be really go either way right now. It's a base race situation. There's no way Jinro can get back to defend this, and NaDa's just walking in and taking out all of the production of Jinro. Jinro is so heavily supply blocked now, it's insane. He'd have to build an incredible number of supply depots in order to unsupply block himself, but and he's just sending all the SCVs into the fire somewhat. And I mean, I love this dual prong attack, just taking out the main base, all the production facilities. Meanwhile, now we've just got Jinro moving forward with all those tanks, those Thors, those Vikings, literally everything. And I mean, both players trying to lift, and this is completely a base race situation. And this is insane. It all just depends on who can take out what fastest. And so far, it's actually NaDa who's doing a lot of damage. NaDa has remaxed nearly pretty much, so this is pretty crazy. Building another command center, building more production facilities. Meanwhile, Jinro's base is just getting completely demolished. If you take a look up here though, I mean, Jinro's just got such great positioning on those tanks. It'll be a nightmare trying to push through that tank line. So the main base of NADA is going to go down, but seriously, this is crazy. Jinro's base is just getting demolished, and really it all depends whether he can get this. This command center is going to be essential. That barracks is going to be essential, and so is that command center. By spreading them out, I mean, Jinro would have to take them out to win the game, obviously in a base race situation. Meanwhile, NADA just expanding away from where this pushes, and I mean, the trouble is, the difficulty for NADA here is that Jinro has got this huge Death Ball army, which will be quite difficult to deal with. Having said that though, I mean, this command center nearly got took out by a missile turret, and if it doesn't get repaired, it will eventually go down as well. And Jinro just expanding to NADA's natural, because that's a usual thing to do. Meanwhile though, Jinro's lost pretty much everything. He's got nothing down on the ground, and NADA's expanding to Jinro's natural as well. So both players just deciding, you know what, I'm just going to up and move to my enemy's house. Works. It's a good place to be. I mean, if you're at their house and they're not, it's all good. Unless they're at your house, then it's bad. And really, Jinro, he's got a very, very large supply kind of gap from NADA, a lot behind. So in theory, NADA can do this. Obviously, he's got 3-3 upgrades against 0-0 for the air and 1-0 for the vehicles. So if NADA gets a good engagement, he can do it, and that's exactly what he's going to do. He's got a flank there as well, and here we go. We're going to have a big engagement going down, absolutely huge, and I think NADA's got this. Look at Jinro's supply fall down so rapidly, and here we go. All of those tanks are getting taken out, but then so's NADA's army getting completely demolished all of a sudden, and this is just crazy game. Really, it just all goes down to whether NADA can take out Jinro's army. This is really all that Jinro has got. If you look at the supply, at the production tab rather, you will see that Jinro is producing nothing. Meanwhile, NADA is producing a lot. Jinro getting out of Banshee now, and now Fusion Core 4 NADA is going to go down, so no more battle cruisers. We saw them for a bit. These two bases are though down for NADA. Jinro's got this base down, NADA's got that base down. Seriously, it's difficult keeping track of what everyone's doing. Meanwhile, Jinro's army just going to demolish this base as well. Meanwhile, he's expanding up to them, deciding against that now. Got 2 bases down here, and this is just pretty hectic and crazy. I don't know what's going to happen now. I mean, I'd have to call this in favour of NADA at the moment, purely because he's got 1, 2, 3 and a bit mining bases, 4 mining bases, 5 mining bases. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mining, or 4.5 mining bases to Jinro's like fraction of a mining base. So all NADA needs to do is not die and slowly get his infantry back up. I mean, if he just had a big ball of Marina Marauder, he can take this. That's not the issue. It's just whether Jinro can deal a crushing blow before NADA can go away with it. But I mean, NADA's at double the supply of Jinro now. He just has to kind of get a critical mass of units to be able to take out these tank siege, and the tanks are going to siege up now. And just Jinro's slowly marching forward, and patience is a virtue. But having said that, here goes NADA. What's he going to do? Is he going to move forward and attack, or is he going to take out that base up there? It looks like he's just going to go for the base, and that means Jinro will be completely lost of any kind of production facilities, forcing a lift there straight away. But the starport's still down, and this is just crazy. I think it is going in favour of NADA though. The longer Jinro is in the game, rather the longer Jinro hasn't won for, the worse it's going to get. And here we go, here comes the big engagement, a great surround, and that is exactly what NADA needed. And there you go, that is pretty much GG now. An absolutely great engagement. All of Jinro's units have been taken down, and NADA really is now in a winning position. I mean, there's some Vikings out, but they're no threat at all. Basically, Jinro's lost this game. There is basically nothing he can do as far as I'm aware, but isn't GGing out. Going to fight to the bittersweet end, but it is just a matter of time. That Raven goes down now for Jinro, and I mean, there's nothing he can do. Just as simple as that. He is getting out some Banshees. It's kind of a last-ditch effort to try and make something work. These Vikings are flying around, but obviously if they land to try and take out the buildings, they'll die near instantly to the Marauder ball, which is growing ever larger for NADA. Meanwhile though, Jinro has got his bases spread out, so looks like he's going in for the long haul. 2 Banshees are coming out, and now here comes NADA just with a whole ton of units to try and take out all these production facilities, and there goes the GG. NADA has found that main base. So that was an epic long game, especially the ending was a bit crazy, kind of a base race which just drags on and really shows that, to be honest, Jinro wasn't out that while he had an army, purely because NADA didn't. He had bases but didn't have any production facilities at first or any army to deal with it. So if Jinro had just moved a bit quicker, it would have been more risky, but if he could have done a more critical blow to the production of NADA, it could have gone either way. I think NADA really won that purely because he just kept producing and basically spent a long time defending, preventing himself from just dying, and that allowed him to build up the units he needed to take on Jinro's army. So thank you very, very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'm going to be casting more of Jinro's games, of course, so keep checking back to my channel. Subscribe if you did enjoy the cast, and also follow me on Twitter. I am now going to go to sleep, so good night all.